Good afternoon, all. On behalf of IoT Academy, we welcome you all for the 10th and last session of National Level Faculty Refresher Program on Quality Teaching and Strategies in HEI'S. Let me introduce the resource person of today's session, Dr. Krunal Soni. Dr. Krunal Soni is an Assistant Professor of Finance and Accounting at STJ International College, Surat. He has a total of 10 years of experience in academics. His qualifications include BBA Finance, MBA Finance, PhD in Management, and Diploma in Foreign Exchange and Risk Management. He has a total of 24 publications in various reputed journals like Scopus, ABDC, and UGC CARE, including a patent in Government of India for his innovation on techno-innovation and growth of Indian share market. He is the recipient of Best Faculty of Management Award and Best Research Paper Award. He has attended and served as a research person for numerous FDPs, workshops, seminars, and conferences, and he has presented numerous research papers on various topics for research, entrepreneurship skills, and ICT tools. We welcome you, sir. And with this, we hand over the session to Dr. Krunal Soni. Sir, please.
Yeah, thank you so much, madam. And thank you so much to IoT Academy for providing me this opportunity to be a resource person for today's session on time and stress management for teachers in higher education in India. So basically, we all are in higher education, and we as a teacher, we are bound with so much responsibilities in terms of qualitative and quantitative things of work. So this is very important, and this is a need of the time for the today's scenario to manage our risk in a proper manner, to give the justification to ourselves, and at the same time in the institute where we are working and where we are serving our services. So it is a need of today's scenario to manage ourselves in a proper manner so that the maximum output will be generated from the efforts of the teachers. And we all know that we are the future builders for our nation, and the teacher roles are very sensitive in terms of the society. So we all need to deliver our services up to the mark so that we can justify the results to the society. So with this, we will begin with the today's presentation, that is time and stress management for teachers in higher education in India. So basically, first of all, what we need to understand what is a stress and how the stress will be created, right? So in a layman language, if we understand, the stress basically comes out from the things or from the situation which we are not ready to accept, or we have some mental backlogs in our mind where we are not giving the orders to ourselves to accept the things in a live and proper manner. And that's why sometimes we feel that we are not made for this, we are uncomfortable with the situation because our mental backlogs is not allowing us to adjust with the situation in which we need to work and we need to deliver our services. So basically, these are the things through which we are creating a stress for ourselves. And one more thing is timely management, right? So if the person is falling into the stress and he's unable to cope up with the proper time management, it is very difficult for him to sustain for the future, right? Because in this competitive era and in this privatization era, all the educational institutes are expecting that the teachers should have the proper delivery, right? Because they need some quality students, and the quality comes from the teachers, and this quality of the teachers will be reflected in the delivery of the services that has been offered by the educational institute, right? So and that is why we have selected this topic for the in the today's session, right? So objectives of time and stress management, that we need to understand why it is important for the teachers in today's scenario to have the proper management of the time and at the same time the stress management, right? So first is understand the terminology of stress that we have already done, right? So understand the types and effects of stress, right? So we need to understand, see, there are various kinds of stress in the market, right? If we come to know, so what kind of stress that you are feeling, right? Because from human to human, the nature is going to be differ from every human to human, right? For one people, there is a one thing is going to be stress, and for other it is not going to be a stress, right? Those people who are mentally strong, right, so they are feeling less stress as compared to those people who are not mentally strong, right? Or else in a other way, if any education institute is coming out with some policy of some physical education, right, or some physical training for the teachers, so definitely the person who is from the physical education is not going to feel a stress, right? But those people who are not in physical education and those who are not aware about, or those who are not habituated to do the physical exercise or physical activities on day-to-day basis, and if institute is coming out with such kind of circular, so these people will feel the stress, right? So stress basically comes out from the new situations, from the new challenges that we are facing into the educational institute, right? So this is what we being a teacher needs to manage, such kind of things, right? So for this particular aspect, as a teacher, right, as a academician, our nature should be such that we are ready to accept the new things and challenges that we are facing into day to day life. Then only we can overcome with the situation, then only we can have some control over the time factor, and then only we can adjust ourselves to the present scenario, right? So understand the types and effects of, say, stress. So stress are physical, stress are also there, right? Physical in a sense, if you are burdened with a lot of physical efforts at your institute or at your job place, then you will feel the physical stress, right? And another stress is emotional stress, right? Sometimes it has been said that emotional, or you can say the mental stress, are more hazardous as compared to the physical stress that we are facing in our day to day life, right? So emotional balance is must required as a human being, as an academician, right? Then only we can give the proper order to our mind, and this order will be reflected in our efforts, and these efforts will lead to the proper justification of our work, and that will be reflected in our future growth, right? So we are our career builder, and we need to balance the stress in our life. So, and that is why there is a correlation of teachers and stress, right? Why it is correlation? Because the job of teacher is a very noble cause. So noble cause comes out from so many sacrifice, so many efforts, right? So many responsibilities that we have in our head. So what we being a teacher needs to do, so teacher needs to do a certain things for which they are responsible, needs to perform in a very proper manner. Right. There was one incident, right, where the parents and teacher meetings are going on, and the teacher is complaining about the results of the students. Right. So in this video, I had seen the mother of this particular child was not that much, educated. So she has replied, if I am educated, then why should I put my child under your purview? So it is our responsibility, and it is our core duty to manage each and every students, those who are coming into our education system. And we are not fully responsible, but partially we are responsible for the results that they are delivering, right? So yes, our job is very crucial and very responsible. So, and that's why this kind of things are always creating a stress, right? Because results are always having some fluctuations, right? Is always you know out of the control things, and that's why we are feeling the stress in our mind. And that's why there are so many works that we need to perform. There are so many duties that we need to perform. And that's why sometimes we are feeling ourselves in a stress, right? But that stress management is in our hand, right? So we need to assess, we need to assess ourselves, right? How much stress? I'm not saying that we don't have to take a stress, or I'm not saying that everybody will win over the stress. I'm not saying that everybody can work without taking a stress in their mind. But yes, we need to assess ourselves how much stress we need to take and how much stress that we can overcome over the period of time, right? So we need to analyze ourselves that which parameter will create a stress for me and which parameter will not create a stress for me. So those two parameters which is not going to create a stress for us, we need to keep it as it is. We should not make it, burden for us in the future period of time. And those things which are going to be a stress for ourselves in the future, we need to manage those things in a very proper manner with time and time again, right? Because see, the duties that you need to perform as a job life, you cannot avoid, right? But you can manage it properly. So that we need to assess ourselves. Fifth one is to make the user friendly environment, right? We need to make ourselves fit. We need to adjust ourselves with the environment in which we are working, right? If you are not fitting to the environment, right, you are no more existed in the environment of the institute, in the environment of the higher education institute, right? So you need to fit yourself to the environment, right? You can, if you cannot change the system, you need to fit into the system, right? So this system is nothing but the environment in which you are going to work, right? So you need to adopt this environment. It is up to you whether you are adopting in a positive manner or you are adopting in a negative manner. So if you are adopting in a positive manner, you will save your time and you will give less amount of stress to your body, to your mind, and to your heart, right? And if you are not adopting, right, you are hampering yourself in terms of monetary and the physical things that are going to hamper, right? So yes, and this is why you have to face some remedies if you are not able to manage your time in a proper manner and you are hardly burdened with the stress that you are feeling on your head, right? So these are the remedies that you need to feel, right? So what is stress? So stress is a situation wherein a person or human feels exhausted, right? Sometimes the situation is not in our control, the things are not going to be in a control, and we being a human try to make it in our control, but sometimes it is going beyond the control. So we are going to be in a stress. So this is a stress that the situation is out of control, and where person perceives that the demand on his personal, mental, physical, with financial capabilities increase the personal and social resources that he is able to enjoy. Right. Sometimes we also feel that we are not, whatever the pay that we are getting from our institute, we feel that we are more gettable for us, right? So this is our self assessment, but we need to see that actually we are, or we feel, sometimes we feel that we can utilize our energy, we can utilize our skills in a more better manner in the future, but it is really there, right? So there is a difference between self assessment and the actual assessment, right? So we need to find the gap between this, right? So if your self assessment is nearest to the actual assessment, so that gap is going to be nearest, and if the gap is going to be nearest, your stress is going to be a low. But your self assessment is very low, and the actual assessment of your performance in the institute is very far beyond your assessment, so the gap is very high, right? So this gap will create a distress, right? The gap will create a frustration, right? And this frustration will leads to hamper your actual performance that you are delivering, right? So again, your performance is going to be deteriorate, right? So we need to maintain a stability in our emotions, in our work, and by doing that we can manage the stress in our life. So stress is nothing but the dissatisfaction that the person or the teachers are feeling at the higher education, right? In terms of the works, in terms of the monetary pay, in terms of the freedoms that they need to enjoy, right? So this is what it's called a stress. So as I mentioned, there are types of stress, right? Everywhere the stress are there, but we need to understand which type of stress we are facing, right? Which type of stress we are facing, and this will decide in which situation you are, right? The stress are two types: good stress and bad stress. Now, what is the difference between a good stress and bad stress? So good stress are those stress which are beneficial to you if you are facing in your life, right? You cannot say to yourself, or you cannot make yourself in a situation where there is a no stress, where there is no efforts, right? You need to put certain efforts in your life, in your academic career, right? And these stress are required to make yourself ready for the future, right? If you are not taking any panic, if you are not taking any stress, you cannot make yourself ready material for the future, or you cannot make yourself to be a ready material, right? We all are starting our career. Let's suppose if you are in higher education, we all are starting with our career with visitors, right? Then we are moving on to the gradual hierarchy, like assistant professor, then associate professor, professor, right? So if you are at the lecturer, you need to face the stress which will make yourself ready for the assistant professor, right? So your nature should be ready to adopt a new work, new challenges, right? Which is required to yourself, which is required to become yourself to be an assistant professor, right? And if you are an assistant professor, you need to fulfill the certain criteria to become an associate professor. And for this particular things, you need to take a stress, not stress, but you need to give yourself accelerate to put yourself ahead for the associate professor. And for that you need to take certain pain, right? So that pain should be taken in a very positive manner to make yourself ready for the future, right? And this kind of stress are called good stress, right? So it is our mind which will give us the order whether this stress are good or bad, right? So if our mind should be in a positive direction, it is always going to be a positive answer for the works that you are going to perform. And this is called the good stress that you are going to follow in your academic institute or higher educational institute. And bad stress are the stress for which our mind, our mental condition is not ready to accept those works or those pressures that we are following in our life. This is called a bad stress, right? So good stress and bad stress. So bad stress are also all not required, but sometimes you need to experience it in your life, right? Then only you can be able to justify which is good stress and which is bad stress, right? So bad stress is also required, right? But bad stress are more panic, right? It should not be continuous for a longer period of time, otherwise it will hamper to your health, right? You will fall into certain diseases, heart related disease, blood pressure, diabetes, right? So we have to make sure that we should not make ourselves in a trouble in due to the professional life. So we need to adjust, or we need to learn how to balance our professional and personal life. And this is what it is called the stress management along with the work management. Clear? So we need to manage our work in a very proper manner so it will not convert into a bad stress. It is okay if you are in a good stress. So if you are not able to manage those good stress, you will fall under the bad stress, right? Because stress is what the situation or things that we are not able to cover up from our side. So that will turn into a bad stress, right? So good stress are always good, but make sure that it will not turn up into a bad stress, right? So good stress and bad stress. So what is the positive effects of stress? As I told you, there are two types of stress: positive stress and bad stress, right? Or good stress or bad stress. So out of the good stress, there are positive effects of stress, right? Because sometimes few amount of stress is required to make ourselves ready, to make ourselves ready material for the future. So the positive effects of this stress are keep ourselves motivated and energizes, right? So if our institute, or if we are covered up with some efforts or some things which is required to make ourselves ready for the future, and it is a challenging task, right? So you have to take it as a positive, and positivity comes from the motivations that we are giving to ourselves, and we are ready to ourselves to perform those tasks, right? So keep ourselves motivated and energizes, right? Then it is applicable for the short run, right? So as I told you that whatever works that has been allocated to you, it needs some pain, it needs it have some challenges. So if you are if you are fulfilling those challenges, it will turn into a good marking for the performance that you need to deliver to your higher education, right? So good stress, or you can say the positive effects of stress, it is for the short time, right? But we cannot keep ourselves motivated, right? And it is purely depends upon the person to person, right? The physical fitness or mental fitness that we have to manage those stress, right? So positive stress is not going to be a permanent forever, right? The moment you feel that the situation is not in a control, right? So this positive stress, or you can say the positive effect of stress, will be turned into a negative effect, right? So it is applicable for the short run only, right? Then the third point is, it is purely depends upon our inner abilities for the coping up the things, right? As I told you, it's a mental ability, right? Physical mental fitness that we have, right? So if your mental is strong, you can be able to cope up with the things in a very proper manner, right? And it is much required in the today's scenario, being an academician, that we should have a mental balance, right? Because students nowadays are very uh, they are very professional, right? So we have to have a proper mental balance at the time of dealing with the students, right? And our institute is also required that we should take care of all the things related to students. They will not feel dissatisfaction from the delivery of the teachers and from the institute side, right? So yes, it is required. So make us feel excited for enjoying the work, right? Wherever, whatever that we are doing our work, we make sure that we should be in the field where we can enjoy our work, right? So if you have studied some commerce or management related things, so you should be in commerce and management field, because your knowledge, your experience is for the commerce and management. So definitely you will enjoy the subjects of commerce and management, right? But at the same time, your institute is giving you, due to some unavoidable circumstances, that you should teach the quantitative techniques to the student. So at that time, we should not react badly, but we should take it as a challenge, and at least we need to give some attempt to do so, right? It's okay if we are not if we are not giving justification of 100%. It's okay, but at the moment you should not react in a negative manner, right? It will shows your negative aspects towards the institute and towards your dedication of the work, right? So at a moment we should accept it. And yes, if you have a certain condition, you should communicate to your higher authority that these are the challenges that I'm going to face, and I will try to cope up as much as I can. So definitely institute will also appraise the efforts that you have given, right? Then it helps us to improve the performance, right? So if you are carrying this kind of attitude, if you're mentally strong, and if you're positive towards your work, towards your job place, towards your institute, right, it always help you to improve your performance, right? Because every day you are coming out with some new energy, some new thoughts, some new goals, and definitely it will improve your performance. So this is the positive effects of stress. Now we see the negative effects of stress. So if the positive effects are there, and if you complete your work in a positive arena, then positive effect will end with the positive stress only. But if you cannot manage the positive era in a proper manner, then this era will be finished for this particular work, and this particular work will be turned up into negative effects, right? So if you cannot perform quantitative techniques at a moment, right, by having not putting any efforts, then it will be turned into negative effects of stress. So it makes us feel anxiety for the things we are concerned with us, right? So if you have not delivered the proper lectures, proper assignments, proper explanations to the students, then you are much concerned about the results of the students, right? So this is a situation of anxiety, fear, right? So this will leads to the negative effects of stress. So this should not be there. Then second point is, it is for the short term or for the long run, right? So the stress of negative effects of stress will depends upon for short run or long run, based on the nature of duty that you are going to perform, right? Let's suppose if you are teaching QT subjects and the results will come out after 3 months, So this stress is continue till the 3 months, till the time the results is not going to come. And once the result will going to come, if it is okay, then there is no stress. But if it is worst, then definitely the stress is going to be extended, right? And you will lose your reputations also, right? So this kind of things are going to, and it has been said that to make a reputation you need 100 years, and to spoil the reputation it needs 1 second, right? So we must ensure that our reputation should not get spoiled by our negative efforts or negative attitudes and behavior at the higher education. Then it comes out inability to cope up with the situation, right? So if you are not managing the situation properly, so this kind of situations is going to be arise in your day-to-day life. So it is your responsibility to manage your work, the situation, and adjust with the environment in which you are going to work. And yes, definitely the most important reason for having a stress for the academician in higher education is to make yourself unhappy, right? If you are happy, there is no problem. We are not here to discuss these slides, right? But yes, we are here to discuss those slides because sometimes the situations are going to arise where we are making ourselves unhappy, and that is why this will turn into negative effects of stress. And if we are unhappy, we cannot perform the work in a proper manner. So quality of work is going to be sacrificed, and ultimately it will reduce our performance, right? And that will be reflected into the appraisal system or appraisal, right? For the appraisal that has been done by the higher educations, right? For us. So causes of stress, as we have discussed. So these causes are bifurcated into three parts: general causes, the causes at life, and the causes due to stress at work, right? So these are the three main causes through which we are facing the stress. It is not like that every stress we are following due to the place at which we are working, because we are human, we are social animals, right? So we have a social life also. So sometimes the stress is coming out from the from the personal reason, that is the stress that you are feeling in your day-to-day life for any medical emergency or some any dispute at homes or something, right? So this is life causes, right? So life के अंदर कुछ भी हो सकता है, and these are the life causes. And stress at work is this professional stress, and general stress means general causes means apart from professional and personal, there are some other reasons also, right? Some uncertainty for the things that you are expecting. So these are falling into the general causes. Clear? Let's suppose general causes. Let's suppose I have invested into the stock market, whether I should get it the return for this particular stocks or not, whether this particular stock is going to perform in a positive direction or negative direction. So this stress has not been created by the workplace. This stress has not been created from the people at the home, right? But this stress is been created by ourselves. So this is called general causes, right? Okay. So stress for teachers at higher education. So generally, we have to perform a bunch of duties at our higher educational institutes, right? So these are the things. I'm not saying these all duties are a stress for the people, right? But many of them are preparing 3 to 4 duties, many of them performing all the duties. Apart from this, they are also engaged with some other duties at the institute level, right? So bunch of works combines together, and at that particular point of time we are feeling ourselves to be a stressed, right? So one of the is the preparation of session planning, right? So session planning is the prediction or the future roadmap that we are going to deliver for the subjects that has been allotted by our higher educational institute, right? So we need to prepare a session planning, and it is a very very rigorous task that we need to perform. I hope you all are agree, right? Then responsible for the students performance, very important. At the end of the semester or at the end of the year, the result analysis is going to be performed by the academic institute, and at that time we are going to be evaluated, or you can say the quality of teaching is going to be evaluated by the academic institute for the teachers, right? And that has been reflected to through the results of the students, right? Passing ratio, failing ratio, distinction, and all these parameters that academic institute is going to apply to measure the quality of work that you are delivering to the institute. Third is efficient management of classroom and in particular field, right? how you have the control over the students, right? If you are teaching into the class, students are not you are not able to manage the students, right? Or students are out of control. This kind of situation is not acceptable as an good academician, right? So this is one of the challenge, and this is very cumbersome task, right? You all are agree with this, right? To efficient management, classroom is important. So being work as a supervisor, you have to supervise, right? Supervise in terms of whenever the exam duties are there. So you have been allotted with the junior supervisor, senior supervisor, right? Where you need to observe the students for 2 hours, 3 hours time period, right? You have to supervise for the clubs activities, or any of the things apart from the academics that has been allotted by your institution. So that you need to do, sometimes you need to work beyond the time factor, right? Outside the institute also, you need to visit other cities or places for the work of the institute. So these are the things you have to work as a supervisor. Then monitoring the curricular and extracurricular activities. So curricular is okay, but extracurricular in terms of, there are various clubs, various activities, cultural events, freshers party, and all these things that we need to manage, right? And we know the management for each of the event, right? So it is very difficult task, for sometimes it is very difficult, and sometimes it is very going to be a painful task for all of us. Then tracking the work from home as well, right? Sometimes it is expected that you should respond to the students if they have any queries through the WhatsApp or through the call, right? So this is called work from home, right? So even if you are reaching to the work, students are calling, they are asking, or even your supervisor or your immediate supervisor is expecting to have some queries, some doubts, or some you can say some review kind of things that you need to perform even if you reach at home, right? So tracking the work from home as well. So difficulty for the students, right? So difficulty for the students means sometimes students are falling into such situations that they are not able to understand the things that you are saying, right? Let's suppose if you are in commerce and management faculty, right? And if you are teaching accounting subject to the first year student, and under that you have some engineering student. So for you, it is a challenging task, because the students who are coming from the commerce background, they can easily understand the terminologies of accounting, right? But those students who are learning accounting for the first time, and they are coming from the engineering background, right, where they have learned so many mathematical formula, and to teach them accounting, it's a challenging task, right? So difficulty that we are facing in terms of the profile of the students, and difficult classroom environment, right? So how the environment of the classrooms are there, are you occupied with so many facilities or not? Do you have a projectors, do you have a green boards, right? Do you have a chalks, do you have a proper lighting, do you have a proper air circulations into the classes, right? So environment in terms of everything, right, from physical environment to the mental environment. So all these things are going to be properly balanced if we need to work properly as a teacher, right? So I'm not saying this is the only responsibilities of the teachers to manage the stress, but it is from the institute side also, that they should provide some proper environment of the classroom and to the staff room for the faculties to manage the work properly, to make themselves adjustable to the situation or environment that they are providing. And for that, it is expected that proper facilities and proper resources should be available if you want that your teacher should perform their task in a proper manner, right? Okay. Then again, performance evaluations from the management side, as I told you, they are going to evaluate your performance. Keep learning is hurdle. It's very important. And I think this is the pinching point for all the academician. Keep learning, right? Because syllabus is going to be changed every nowadays, right? The things are coming out with the new things. Before 20 years, if I'll talk about, there was no words of research in academics. Now this is the core aspects of academics, right? So research, so those who have graduated before 15 to 20 years before, they don't know what is research. So they have learned the research at the job place, right? Because there was no imposed that much on the research, but nowadays it is there. So I'm not saying only research, But in future might be there are other things that are going to come. Even in research there are other softwares which is coming out into the market. So we need to keep learning ourselves to be upgraded, and then only we have the market value. And that is where we are in the stress situation, because at certain age you can understand, or certain age you can accept the new things, but after certain age your acceptability is going to be a downside, right? So yes, so if your expectability in the downside, so you will be in a stress situation, because your acceptability of the new things are going to be less, and that's why you are feeling yourself to be stressed. So uncertainty regarding the jobs. Yes, if UGCs come out with certain new regulations, right? Apart from net set and PhD. So we all feel that we are in the stress situation, right? So uncertainty regarding the job, hopefully it is not there, but yes, uncertainty regarding the jobs. And if they are doing it, if they need to provide the backup to the faculties as well, those who have before graduated, so it is their responsibility. Then lack of or no administrative support, right? So nowadays in higher education, it is the expectations from the faculties that apart from the academic duty, they should also perform the administrative things. And sometimes we are not up to the level or at par to perform those academic duties, right? Because we are already burdened with the academic duties. So administrative duties are going, sometimes it is going to be a very difficult, sometimes it is going to be a very pinching situation for us. So yes, lack of or no administrative support. Then integration of intelligence and technology. We all are learning this FDP right now, or refresher course, right, on the online mode, right? So before 5 years back, nobody has even thought about this, that we should adopt these ICT tools and technology in that much manner, that now we are learning each and everything through the online, right, by sitting at our home, and we are delivering the session, or we are attending the sessions, right? And we are learning the new things and keep updating ourselves for the future, right? So this is very positive mode, right? So that we need to accept it. But sometimes for the teachers, this is also going to be a challenge for those who are old age teachers, because they don't know much about the technology. So sometimes they feel the stress for them. Yes, then change in curriculum, as I said, sudden change in the curriculum will leads to increase our efforts to prepare a material, to learn new things for first new learn new things from ourselves, then prepare material, right? Then share the PPTs, right? Then prepare a questions, prepare a new set of question papers. So all these things are going to increase our efforts if the changes in curriculum is going to happen. Then changes in the education policy right now. Recently, we have a new education policy launched by the government of India, that is NEP, right? So NEP 2020, as I mentioned in the last point. So we need to understand those new education policy. So institute also needs to adopt those educational policies, and accordingly, we need to change all the strategies for the coming period, right? So whenever we need to change the strategy, so strategy formulation is always a painful task. So this kind of situation is going to be a challenging task, and out of that, sometimes it is going to be a stressful situation. And stress is basically come out because we are not able to, you know, fulfill the requirements of the work, or we are unable to handle the situation, right? The moment we will understand, and the moment we will handle the situation, this stress is going to be turned up into, you know, the success, right? So if you manage the stress in a proper manner, it is a success. So sign of stress for the teachers. So sometimes we have heard in the staff room also, few people are having some headaches, some people are having stomach, right? Then ulcer, right? So these are the few problems that we are detecting from the teachers. Then decreased immune system, right? We are not habituated to have the physical exercise, right? So this kind of things will leads to uh, you know uh, decreased immune system and increase of heart rate. If your weight is gaining, right, you are not doing proper exercise, you are not doing proper yoga for yourself. So this kind of things are going to be happen with the teachers, because more of our job is not having physical efforts, more of our job is having mental efforts, right? So we are not connected with the physical efforts that we have to make in a day-to-day life, right? So this kind of things is creating a risk for ourselves, and for that we need to keep ourselves physically strong, right, apart from the mental strongness. Clear? So these are the physical sign of stress among the teachers that we are usually finding. Then emotional signs of stress among the teachers. So difficult with the concentrations, right? Sometimes we have feel that, or sometimes we might have experienced from our colleague that if they are mentally disturbed, they cannot, focus on their work. They don't know what they are doing it sometimes, and sometimes they have some tendency to forgetfulness, right? So these are the sign of emotional stress, right? So memory and inappropriate expression of emotions, right? So if you are in stress, if your anxiety is at higher level, you don't know how to react in front of the people, in front of the students, right? And this will leads to inappropriate behavior towards your superior, towards your colleague, towards your students, right? So this has been going to be reflected into your behavior if you are not emotionally strong, right? Then low level of self esteem, yes, definitely this is the most important reason that you are not emotionally strong, because you are having a low self confidence, you are having low self esteem, right? So we first need to respect ourselves. Being a teacher, if we can't respect ourselves, nobody is going to respect in the market, right? So self confidence, self respect is first that we need to develop. Then we can accept the other things is going to be as per the expectations that we have at our job place, that is higher education. Clear? Then it will leads to depression. If you are not managing your emotional stress, then you will get into the high level of depression, and that will create a huge burden to yourself. Then you have the anger, right? So sometimes you are shouting to the students, sometimes you are shouting to your colleagues, sometimes you are shouting to your administrative staff. So that will leads to the angerness. Clear? Okay. And suggestions to reduce the stress, right? So we have seen the types of stress, objectives of stress, signs of stress. Now we are coming out with the suggestions to reduce the stress. So first, to learn to plan your activities, right? So manage your work, plan your activity. So this will leads to low level of failure. And if you are no low level of failure, so there is a no stress at work at all. Clear? Then recognize and accept the limits, right? We need to work under certain boundaries of the academic institute code of conduct, right? So that boundaries we need to decide, and accordingly we need to work, right? Every job place, they have certain new rules and regulations, so we need to adopt those changes in a positive manner, and we need to accept, we need to adjust ourselves in such a way that this boundary should not hamper to our efficiency. Clear? So we need to adjust the situation. Then come out from your problems, right? Try to resolve the problems rather than making that problem to be a burden for yourself, right? So you need to resolve your problems. Then avoid unnecessary teachers competition, right? You should have your competition with yourself, right? So negative, or you can say the toxic environment that we are usually finding in the staff room of the higher education institute, that should not be there. We have to accept the progress and the performance of each and every colleagues in a positive manner, and we need to try to learn from these particular people rather than having some grudges or the things. So if you have a grudges, so this will lead to the negative behavior. Rather than you should try to learn from this particular person, you should go to that person and tell them, let me teach, right? You teach me, I want to learn this. So this is a positive attitude that is expected from the teachers at the higher education institutes. Clear? Then learn to play a sport. As I told you, at least 1 hour, half an hour, you should play a sport, whatever sport that you are interested. It is irrespective. But yes, that will give you the physical exercise, and this will maintain the physical fitness of the teachers, right? At the higher education institute. Yes, so you have to learn to play the sports. Decide to remain positive. Very important. Whatever happens in your life, stay positive, be cool, be calm. The time will do everything, right? So, and for this particular belief, you should have some own self-esteem for yourself. So that will leads to a positive side. Clear? Then change your surrounding. This is very important. If your surrounding is negative, you cannot be stressless. right? So if your surrounding is negative, definitely the stress is going to be a burden for yours, right? It is going to be a toxic behavior for us, right? So we need to create a surrounding in a positive manner so that we can work very efficiently, and that will be reflected in your work. So choose your colleague, choose your environment, choose your place, right? Choose your word very carefully, so this will leads to the positive behavior. Clear? Okay. Then avoid to work out of the window, especially when you are tired, right? So keep rest. If you are tired, don't consider that I need to finish it up, right? Because you need to manage the time, and then only you can perform. Clear? Then maintain a social distance outside the educational institutes, right? You have to maintain a social distance, right? Wherever you are working, and if you are going at other education institutes, so you have some distance, because where you are working, you are permanent employees, so you have some distance while dealing with the other education institutes. Clear? Give positive vibration to your body whenever you feel the nervousness, right? So yes, this is very important. So you have to give some positive message to your body as and when you are nervous, so you will definitely come out from this negative situation as early as possible, and you will again go back to your work with the positive mindset and improve your performance. So think about the area which you make yourself feel fun and enjoyment. Go for movie, go for restaurant with your friends, family, colleagues, or with whom you are feeling yourself comfortable and happy, right? So make yourself happy. So this will relax your mind, right? This will relax your emotions, and which is very important to maintain your heart at the good level, right? So give time space for yourself during the working hours. Have some cup of tea with the colleagues, have some good words, have some light environment, right? So this will help you to improve your performance. Then take a walk with colleague with whom you can share your secrets, right? So yes, if you feel that I'm comfortable with this person, so have a walk with him, walk with her, and you can share your views, your thoughts, your feelings, right? So you make yourself relaxed. Clear? And adopt the yoga in your day-to-day life, right? So yoga has very positive vibration to your body, and you definitely should perform those things and make yourself fit for the future, because yoga is not only maintaining the physical fitness, but yoga has very good contribution for the mental fitness as well, right? So yes, and this is why we can consider stress as stand back. That means separate yourself from the stress situation, right? T stands for take a deep breath, right? So you have to count to 5 and think about the choice that is best for you. Think about the good thing is happening to your life, and make yourself relax. And that is why the third point is relax. So do things which make yourself relax, right? If you feel I need to go for walk with a colleague, go for it. If you think I have cup of tea with the colleagues, or I have some movie time or some laser fair time with our relatives or something, go for it. Don't stop yourself, but make yourself comfortable, right? E stands for exercise, to maintain a physical and mental fitness. S means sleep, right? Have a good sleep, right? For number of hours, 6 to 8 hours sleep is very much important for all of us, right? To maintain our fitness for the future. So have a proper sleep. Don't justify yourself that I have taken a sleep for 4 hours, 5 hours. No, you don't have to show to anyone, right? You have to be, you have to be yourself. You have to be loyal for yourself, right? So and give it 6 to 8 hours sleep to yourself and make it comfortable. And speak, talk to someone about it and share your emotions with nearest one, right? So to whom you feel that is the person is trustable, and the person will definitely help you out to come out with the situation. So share your problem and try to get back from the situation, right? And this kind of suggestions you can take it from your seniors, right? From your parents, right? So these things are from your uh, experienced colleague, right? Previous colleague. So it could be anyone, right? So but you have to speak, you have to say something, right? Yes. So that's it from my side for the time and stress management at higher education institute, right? So if you have any questions, questions are most welcome.
The session is open for discussion now. You can unmute and interact with resource person, or you can post the questions in the chat box also. Thank you, sir. Thank you all.
Yeah. Yes, any questions? Fine. So, any questions? Those who have raised the questions, hands. Alok sir, Dr. Alok sir. Goswami sir, if you have any questions, I think you have raised the hands. Okay, so I think there is no questions at all. So thank you so much for having a patient listening. And thank you so much to IoT Academy for providing me this wonderful opportunity to share my views on time and stress management for the teachers at Higher Education Institute. Thank you so much.
On behalf of IoT Academy, we thank Dr. Krunal Soni, sir, for the inspirational and enriching session, sir. Thank you once again for the amazing and excellent presentation. And we thank you for enhancing our knowledge with your commendable presentation, sir. We thank you very much for your efforts.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Yeah.
I thank all the participants for joining the session today. Kindly submit the feedback form using the link that will be posted in the chat box. Thank you all. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much for your efforts.
Signing off. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.